Hey guys, we're here back again. This time we are doing yet again another update video going over update 3.5, the hero and item balance changes. Now, I haven't actually read this at all. I saw the tweet about it from Vainglory and I was like, oh man, I gotta actually make a video and talk about it with you all and how I think it's actually gonna change the current meta of the game or just things in general. So here we go. So the first thing we have is it says parity. That's what junglers can expect in 3.5, as each camp now spawns at the exact same time and respawns 2 minutes after they've been cleared. Outside of big changes to the jungle, check out balances to Churnwalker, Kensei, and more. So that's actually huge. So before, the spawn times for the camps were actually staggered in such a fashion that you would have a certain order at which you would actually go about it. So you can actually change that order up potentially on how you want to go about the actual rotations through the jungle. So that's kind of interesting. And then also it makes it easier to kind of time, okay, we killed all the camps, these should be popping up at this time. And so therefore every 2 minutes after you actually clear them, then they'll go ahead and respawn. So that kind of makes it kind of a quality of life type change and gives it a bit of a mix as far as rotations through camps, potentially. It might still not do much. It may still be where it's best to clear your lane with your jungler and then you can go up and get their regen and then come over and clear your jungle, going regen, red buff, gold. You know, maybe that's still the trend, but potentially we might see some changes in the jungle rotation meta. Who knows? We'll have to see. And again, Churnwalker Kensei changes on the way. I'm assuming Churnwalker got a buff. He wasn't really used too much in this meta. Kensei probably got a nerf, but we'll see what happens here going forward. So gameplay balance changes. So we have double minion camps. So spawn time is 50, you know, down from the 65, and respawn time is 120, up from 90. So that's actually kind of interesting. I guess that kind of, actually no, this is just I think that's just to kind of put it in tune with the parity of the actual jungle camps here. I think that's what they're doing. They're just adjusting it to change the parity as far as things spawning at the same time. Yeah, because 120 is 2 minutes. Armory's respawn time is now a bit longer, so it went from 210 to 270. So we're looking at an extra minute until they actually respawn. So we have a little video here we can play too. All right, cool. So they have armories respawning at a bit later of a time. So there's actually less opportunities to make a comeback when you're that far pushed back. You have to wait even longer and really buckle down your defenses when those armories are down and wait out the extra minute to actually try to have some sort of preventative measures from them just taking out your vein. Then we have the weapon crystal orb camp. So the spawn times again are readjusted for that 2 minute respawn time and that parity for all of them to spawn at the same time. And then we have the healing treant camp. So once again, it's been adjusted. The actual experience from the healing treant camp is also down, and the small minion experience is down. So jungle as a whole is actually less lucrative experience-wise. I wonder why. I wonder why they changed that. Maybe it has to do with the fact that a lot of times, because your bot lane would usually have your jungle and your bot lane together, pushing in their single bot lane, technically their top lane, and then go ahead and rotate and get all that jungle. By the time they come back, they have more levels or just experience in general than that single person in that lane, and it really starts to topple over as you accumulate that extra experience each rotation. So maybe that's why. Maybe they're trying to balance out the bot lane versus top lane experience. Maybe that's what's happening here. Gold Oak Camp, again, adjusted for that parity. Vision, so hero vision range is actually increased by 2, up from 12. So it was 12, now 14. So that's actually, that's pretty cool, I guess. So you actually can see targets a bit further before they disappear into the fog of war. I don't really know much to say about that other than that. Hero balance changes. Adagio, Gift of Fire, fire damage per second is actually down by 10 across the board. So Adagio, if you guys didn't know, I don't know about the fire damage being much of an issue. Maybe they have a bit more calculations involved there as to why. But he was pretty beastly going full support. And so yeah, that makes sense that they bring down the health ratio. So now his heal, as far as that health ratio on the heal, and just everything he does is a bit less effective. And they want to emphasize, obviously, the crystal ratio more than anything else. So they want to try to deviate away from just a pure tank and maybe bring in a bit of crystal power into the hero again, instead of just being purely a top lane tank healing monster late game. Because really, that's all he did. All you would do is you would, yeah, okay, I understand they get the fire now. So like, pretty much all you would do is you build your Stormguard banner and then all your other tank items. And Stormguard banner combined with your Gift of Fire would allow you to do quite a bit of damage early game and sustain long enough to get your tank items to where you just become unkillable. Because your damage by default is pretty decent. So now they're bringing down that damage to make it less of a viable early game approach. I think that's what's happening here. Anyways, moving on to Alpha. Alpha is actually a little bit tankier, and attack speed is up. I don't know if I like that. Alpha was already kind of strong. She wasn't top meta, but man, I don't know if you guys watched my stream last night, but in 3v3, the Alpha, well, I kicked some ass later on late game, but early game, Alpha was really, really tough to deal with, especially with her health pool and reboot. So now she has a bit more health and more attack speed late game at least. So early game, it's not, well, I don't know. Maybe it's not a bad change because like late game, she didn't do so hot. But early game, she was really good. Whereas in this change, the early game stays relatively the same, but late game is substantially a bit more. So I guess it's an okay change. Maybe we'll have to see. Batiste, Fearsome Shade. Which one's Fearsome Shade? Oh, it must be the ultimate given the cooldown times. I forgot the names. So the ultimate time is actually down. Batiste did fall out of the meta a bit, and with that ultimate being on a lower cooldown, his utility is actually going to be a bit more of an incentive to keep picking him. So that's actually going to be kind of interesting to see how that pans out. Anything else didn't really change with them, so his damage is the same. It's just his utility. Baron, rocket launcher, so the splash damage is increased. Oh man, 30% increase? He's going to be a monster late game. Because that late game, it's all team fights, right? So that splash damage is going to be disgusting. 30% more. Oh, God. I mean, he wasn't in the meta. At least not that I'm aware of. Maybe not for 5v5. Maybe 3v3? I don't know. I don't play 3v3 as much as I play 5v5. But man, splash damage, 30% increase, that's kind of disgusting. You know, that's damn near like double. I mean, technically no, obviously I know math, but 30% is quite a bit. Porcupine motor energy cost is 60 across the board. That's a welcome change. I think it's not like a huge change. It's just a subtle quality of life for Baron. It's not a big thing. Blackfeather on point is actually increased. Fuck you. Okay, so I'm going back to my last night's stream. This is bringing me like, you know, flashbacks of like me just being completely destroyed by this Blackfeather. Neon, fuck you. Just kidding, I love you, but god damn it. So like, he was already really strong. He just wasn't picked over certain heroes, I feel. But that's gonna really be disgusting for his ability to harass. Ugh. Maybe it'll be fine. Maybe it'll pan out to be okay. Maybe that 20% won't really shine as much as I think it's going to. I don't know. I think that's gonna be stupid good. Churnwalker, futility of life. So chain healing is actually up. That's gonna be good. I think so. Churnwalker actually started to get outshined by all the others because of all the new items, I feel. And with this right here, I think that's going to kind of bring him up to par again as far as tankiness. just because of his utility. He has a bit of lack of utility and damage mitigation in his kit. He has his ultimate, and he has the bit of healing from chain healing, but it didn't seem like it would offset what others have, like barriers and healing, and it just didn't seem as great. So increasing the healing on the chain healing is actually pretty cool. It makes Turnwalker a bit tankier as just a walking chaining madman who doesn't die. I mean, hopefully he dies at some point, but hook and chain cooldown is actually down the more you actually level it up. So that's actually good. That makes him a bit more active in matches. That means he's going to be cooking quite a bit with the cooldowns, especially with all that cooldown in the new items. Every second, dude, basically. You'll be looking at every second you can use the hook and chain at overdrive. Huh. Damage per second is also up to 3%. You are going to want to overdrive this hook and chain if you want to be an aggressive Turnwalker. 3%. Well, I mean, it's only 1% increase. But yeah, so 3% up from 2%. I guess that's pretty good. I mean, he might be something that's pretty disgusting as far as just damage over time and just sustainability because of it. Huh. Flicker, Mooncloak. Who plays Flicker, really? Mooncloak, cooldown. I mean, I'm sure somebody does. So the cooldown is actually substantially reduced. 40 seconds across the board for every level. So he's going to be basically doing his little team stealth far more frequently. I still don't know. I don't know if it's going to bring him back to meta. Like, with the amount of vision in-game for 5v5 specifically, there's just so many scout cams. Like, it makes it very hard to really utilize that like you would back in the 3v3 days where it was all about scout cams, or not scout cams, scout traps. And if you went over the scout trap, it would deactivate and blow up, right? And then no longer do you have vision. So that benefited Flicker in that meta because the vision was very limited. It was basically flares was the game that you want to have late game. Early to mid game was scout traps, late game was just flare after flare after flare, until maybe you started getting contraption when that came out. But yeah, so I don't know. I feel like with 5v5, the way vision is right now, Flicker has a hard time with the amount of vision there is across the map because everybody has a scout cam or two, right? So that's kind of difficult to see how Flicker can make it back into the meta. Yeah, I don't know. Grace Retribution weapon ratio is nerfed once again. Whew! She is still taking the nerf hammer here, dude. She's just being beat down to the ground. So it's been cut in half, so from 10% to 5%. Base damage is down from 10 to 98. So they really want to just get rid. Oh, okay, I see. So they basically moved around some damage. So her base damage is down, but her weapon ratio is high. So basically what that's saying is that if you go the tank route, the captain route, your base damage is going to be low, like a captain usually should be. But if you go the weapon route, now you're still maintaining that damage increase you would have had when the numbers weren't changed to some degree, and it may be even better. I don't know. I have to do the math. I have to ask the scoundrel. He's the math guy. Let's ask him. Is this actually more damage output for a weapon-based Grace, or is it relatively the same? Or maybe even less. I would assume it's probably not less. So yeah, so less emphasis on damage if you go tank. More emphasis on damage or the same if you go weapon. That makes sense. That's a good change, I think. I hate Grace when like she's full tank and you get hit and you're just like, what the fuck was that? And you look at the items and there's no offensive items on her at all, and you just chunk like 1/3 of your health and you're like, how is this fair? So I can understand that change. Grumpjaw, living armor, damage reduction is up by 1%. So they're trying to just give him a bit of a nudge. You know, saying, hey, look, he's a little bit tankier now. Let's see if that actually brings him back into the meta. Jewel Rocket Leap cooldown is down. not by much, 2 seconds across the board. That can be pretty good. That's a pretty good cooldown for overdrive too. Yeah, I'm interested to see how that actually pans out, because as a weapon duel, you're not going to go ultimate at all, unless at some point they add a weapon ratio to it, which it does not have currently, I don't think. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Let's see how Jewel actually does in the meta. She has been used. She's like a soft meta, I feel. I've seen her. She's just not top pick. So maybe this might sway some people to actually play her a bit more, because she has a bit more utility and mobility. Kensei, Immovable Mind. Yep, so there's a nerf. Weapon ratio is down by a little bit here. The numbers are like very insignificant, I feel. 0.022%. So that's not too much. And then it's, you know, down to 0.018%. So really, you're looking at a 0.004% change. That almost seems insignificant as far as the numbers we see here, but I'm sure mathematically, if we actually do the calculations, it means quite a bit. I just think this right here just looks funny. Lotus Strike damage is actually down by 5% across the board. Okay, so he's a little bit weaker all around. Castrol, active camo, trap only triggers upon direct hit. What is it? What does that mean? So like an indirect hit? What's an indirect hit from Kestrel? I'm sure it's just some simple logic that it's escaping me. I just can't think of it. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section down below what that means. Like I'm not a Kestrel player, as you guys may have saw last night. I love how I keep referencing my stream. But yeah, like I'm not a Kestrel player. If you guys watched me like 2 years ago during a tournament, you'll know I'm not a Kestrel player. Oh God. Let me know what that means though. Like, what's an indirect hit that triggers the actual active camo? Huh. Kashka. Maybe that means like, maybe this means like you have to be dead center. I don't know. Let me know. Kashka, Pouncy Fun, cooldown is actually down in the, oh no, across the board. A lot more in the beginning and only a little bit less at the end. So that's actually pretty cool. I do want to see Kashka back in the meta a bit more than she is currently. I'm sure she can work in 3v3 currently, because 3v3 is a little bit different as far as how it actually pans out. But 5v5, I think she struggles a bit, especially late game. So this actually allows her to kind of excel a bit more where she normally does, which is early game. Lance, Partisan's technique, so stamina generation per second. Oh, that's cool. So stamina, definitely, I wouldn't say definitely, but it seemed like an issue sometimes for me. There'll be times where like I was actually captaining to a moderate degree last night. Stream reference again. So I was playing him, and there was a couple times where I'm like doing like my wombo combos, and all of a sudden like I tried to do my final follow-up, which would have killed them, and you know I didn't have the stamina. It's just barely not enough. So this might change that to where it's like, hey, I can actually do quite a bit of stuff now. Gifting Wall stamina cost is actually down as well. So wow, so that's actually pretty good. So not only do you use less stamina in one of your abilities, you actually generate more stamina. So Lance is going to be a lot more proactive throughout the fights. It's pretty cool. I guess the reason why they did that though is a lot of people didn't like the change of Echo being gone, because the Gifting Wall Echo was what was always used, and so you know that was the go-to build for Lance. Like Echo Gifting Wall was stupid good. Like, it's just so much control. So when you lost that Echo, people were like, ah, fuck Lance, let's go somewhere else. Excuse my language. Sorry, I cuss a lot now, I'm sorry. But stamina generation being up with the cost being lower, that just means that, you know, you can use the Gifting Wall whenever it's up for more than you could before. You still run off the same cooldown, but at least now you won't have as much of a problem having the stamina to actually cast it. Because you did retain cooldown, because with the new items you get a bunch of cooldown from it. It's just the cost. Cost was the problem. Lyra, Imperial Sigil, health ratio is actually down. So Lyra got another nerf. I think she got a nerf last time too. She got another nerf, so her health ratio is even more nerfed. So that kind of sucks for Lyra. That sucks for my Ozo too. If you guys don't know, I actually enjoy Ozo quite a bit right now because of his self-heal and his passive healing from other healing. And so I always loved having a Lyra in my team when I'm Ozo. And that kind of diminishes my sustain a bit there. God damn it. Maligne. Oh, here we go. Oh, yeah. This guy. He got a buff. Sweet. Kind of fixes this shit. Maligne. Sorry, I'm talking about Ozo here. This guy got a buff. Maligne. So, light ribbons. So, cooldown is actually up. So, Maligne was still strong. She was still banned quite a bit. So, yeah, there was definitely a nerf coming. So, the light ribbons was actually increased as far as cooldown time. Shadow Tendrils has increased cooldown time, and Royal Amnesty is up on cooldown as well across the board. So she's just less active. You have more downtime, because yeah, with the amount of abilities she has like 2 more abilities on top, or 3 more technically, right? So she has double the abilities of a normal character to run off cooldowns and stagger them, so she can be so active. If you stagger them right, like you're very active as a mage. You're just constantly doing one thing after the other, especially once you start getting cooldown items. And this kind of rectifies that ability to just constantly bombard people. Now she actually has to plan her rotations a bit more and expect some downtime. Ozo Bangarang. So the ultimate speed is actually up. I definitely welcome that. The Bangarang is one of the easiest ultimates to block because you see it coming from a mile away. And delay is actually less too. So I think that means the actual knock up and pullback it happens quicker. So not only do you go over to your target faster, but you actually bop them over a little bit faster too. Is that what it means? I don't know. Maybe that just means that if you actually don't connect, the delay to actually stop the effect, to stop the ultimate, happens quicker. I don't know. But that's cool. So you got a bit of a buff, a little bit of a buff. Which makes his ultimate a bit more of a threat. Cool. Not kind of what I was expecting with the loss of Lyra, but hey, whatever. So Petal, Bramble Boon Seeds, pet health ratio 50% to 65%. So the pets are a bit tankier. I don't know why Petal wasn't really in the meta right now. Maybe that's the issue. Her pets just die too fast. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section down below. Do you think this is going to bring Petal into the meta? Because she definitely wasn't using 5v5. I did not see her once this entire season. If I did, I don't remember. It was probably a casual. Rhyme. Valkyrie. So the ultimate is actually down. Damn, dude. So I like these changes. Okay, so what they've been doing lately is they're increasing the intensity of the match sooner. So, or like it happens faster, I guess you would say. So not only did they increase run speed across the board by a little bit, making everybody run a bit faster last update, they also brought a bunch of new items that really help with cooldown, keeping captains more proactive. And then they also are reducing a bunch of ultimate cooldowns, meaning a lot of characters who had fairly long cooldowns on their ultimates can now have a lot more usefulness out of that more frequently, allowing fights to be a lot more crazy more often because you have more of your abilities up more often, right? Minus Maligne, who got a huge nerf to her cooldown. Firestarter crystal ratios down. That makes sense. Obviously, Reza is a top pick. Rona into the fray. Rupture damage for minions is actually... So wait, so it's 40 to 100 to 220 plus 100% CP ratio. So the ratio's down. Is the damage the same? Because they lined that out too. I don't know. I think it's just the rupture damage ratio is down. So less CP. What? Why? Oh, gotcha. So like this entire thing is gone. Now it's just based off of your ratio of 50% of the rupture damage period. Whatever damage that may be. So 50% of that. Okay. Red Mist cooldown is down to 6. That's pretty cool. Damage per second. So Rona got a buff. Bring back the Rona top. Let's go, baby. Fuck Ozo. Sorry. Screw Ozo. We got Rona back. She got that cooldown. That, I don't know about this one right here. I don't know if that's worse or better. Damage per second on Red Mist is actually higher across the board. And fortified life generated per second is up for mid to late game. Awesome, dude. Early game, you may not have as much of an effect on this, but late game, that means she's going to be pretty tanky. More cooldown so she can use her Red Mist more often. It does more damage, and you're tankier mid to late game. Let's go. Dude, if you guys know, 3.2, I think, I played a shit ton. I played a whole lot of Rona in top lane. It was just my go-to hero, and I had such a huge win rate with her. Like, it's just, if I wanted to win, the best chance I had was going top Rona. For whatever reason, I just shined with her, that update. Even though, like, all the other updates before, I played like crap with Rona. Ever since 3.2, I think it was, like, I started, well, I would say maybe even before then a little bit, but not until recently I started doing really good with her. I just, whatever reason, something clicked, and now I'm like just a Rona madman. Samuel. So Drifting Dart cooldown is actually up. Samuel was a bit strong, so that's a welcome change. It's not a huge one. It just means he can't just bombard you with splash damage as often. Sky stats are actually a buff, so she gets a bit more health, not too much. It's not a huge change. I still don't think it's going to be a substantial change where it really changes her position in meta. Maybe. I think she's going to be saying, she's going to be like kind of a soft meta. She's used, just not as much. So then we had a buff to Taka. So I know that we had some videos from T-Tigers where he talks about Taka's back and top for weapon power, and this makes it even more of a solid pick. 20% increase in weapon ratio for X-Retsu. So yeah, he's definitely going to be in the meta, I feel. He may even start to be a ban again. I don't know. I'm just kind of speculating that if he's getting stronger when he's already making a slight return to the meta, then he is probably either going to be firmly set in the meta or he's going to be OP. I don't know. Because he was already meta to begin with. Maybe not like, I would say soft meta. He was used, just not as often. And now he's going to be firmly set in the meta. I don't think he'll be entirely OP. Vox Sonic Zoom cooldown is up. And then the actual damage is up. So you have more of a cooldown, but you do more damage. Huh. That's interesting. So Sonic Zoom, which one's that one? Why am I such a freaking retard? Which one is that one? Sonic Zoom. Pulse. Yeah, Pulse is the other one. So Sonic Zoom's a dash. Sonic Zoom's a dash. Retarded, Rumbly. Jesus. Why can you not remember that? Fox is like a staple hero in Vainglory at this point. So the dash. The dash has a longer cooldown, but does more damage. Okay. So that's kind of cool, I guess. It's not a huge change. I think it just kind of brings him down a little bit. Just a notch. Item balance changes. Eulogies are actually up. Nice. Okay, it's just a little bit of a buff. But that's good for melee heroes, especially top lane. Because top lane has a huge issue with being bullied. And if you have more health from your eulogies, that's actually really good. And that actually helps Ozo with that loss of healing from Lyra. Hell yeah. Capacitor plate healing amplification is down. So that kind of sucks a bit for like healers like Adagio or Lyra. Damn, so like Adagio and Lyra got a huge nerf. Combined with capacitor plate and their healing nerfs, that sucks. Well, Adagio got a health decrease nerf as far as his ratio on his health for his abilities. So that ultimately means the healing, because it's based on his health too. So yeah, a healing nerf plus a healing amplification nerf on capacitor plate means that healing is not going to be as prevalent as much as it is in the meta right now. At least not going to be, you know, the go-to necessarily now. You can maybe flex pick into like an Arden more firmly than you would to say, oh, Lyra's available, pick her up. Oh, go top lane Adagio. You know, you might not see top lane Adagio anymore. At least not a tanky one. Coda plates. Price is down. That's pretty cool. That means that the price for Slumbering Husk is down, maybe? Maybe. That'd be kind of cool, too. Eve of Harvest is actually up on crystal power. I like Eve of Harvest. I was hesitant to use it just because of the lower crystal power, but the sustain is really nice, especially in this meta where you just take a shit ton of damage and you want to sustain that back up. So that's actually pretty nice. I like that. That might bring Eve of Harvest back up to play here more than it is now. Kinetic Shield down 2. So did Slumbering Husk get a 100 gold decrease in cost? Because both Kinetic Shield and Coated Plates are down by 50, which means 100 total for Slumbering Husk. Unless they increase the end price for Slumbering Husk. I don't know. Light Armor is up as far as armor, up in price as well. So never mind. I just answered my own question. So the first tier is more. It's 50 more. But they offset that increase by decreasing the second tier, the second precursor to Metal Jacket or Slumbering Husk. Same thing with Kinetic Shield. So early defense is actually better, and it's cheaper to get your mid-game defense. It's not even mid-game, it's just tier 2 defense. Lucky Strike critical chance is up. Critical damage is actually down. So you crit more often, but you crit less as hard. I guess that's good for like Ringo. So like Ringo was a little strong in this meta, and this would bring down his damage a little bit here because he can crit more often, but his damage output might suffer. So it's more chance than it is just damage. I don't know. It might still just be the same thing, ultimately. I don't know. Poison Shiv, attack damage is down, so you might see less Poison Shiv and more Serpent Masks. Who knows? You might see Tornado Trigger make a comeback too. So you might see like a Serpent Mask BP Tornado Trigger instead of like a Poison Shiv, and you only go Poison Shiv. There's a really tanky hero in the enemy team. There's people who go Poison Shiv, and I sometimes do this too, and they go BP, and they just get like maybe like a Spell Sword or a Sorrow Blade, or something else that has high output damage to stack on those two. And then they go ahead and just wail on people. Even though there's no tank, they still go Poison Shiv. I mean, I guess you can go Poison Shiv if there's a healer too, and there's no tank. You still want to go against that healer with that Poison Shiv. But healing's down too. So Poison Shiv isn't as much of a necessity because healing is down across the board, across the healing champions. And Poison Shiv damage is down as well. So Poison Shiv isn't as prevalent as it's going to be in this current meta. Pulse Weave, base slow is down, so they're making a lot of these items less effective. They were a little strong. Slow health scaling is actually down as well. So overall, less slow. Okay, Spellfire, burn damage is down. Spellfire was a very staple item amongst mages. That makes sense. I like that change. It makes it to where it's not like a, well, it is kind of a huge one between the 30 and the 20, but the 5 and the 8's not so bad. But the Spellfire, it's still going to be used pretty often, I feel. But now you can kind of, you know, maybe go with the Eve of Harvest instead and not really go with Spellfire as much. It kind of gives you a bit more of a flex pick instead of just being a clear cut, hey, you need to go Spellfire. Screw Eve of Harvest. Spellfire is the way to go. Well, now if the burn damage is down, maybe it will incentivize other items that weren't used before that got buffed. Tornado Trigger, attack speed is down. Critical damage is up. Oh, okay. So I guess Tornado Trigger, so what they did here is they just changed these around a bit to where this as a single item alone is not quite played the same anymore. Damage output is down a bit with just this one alone, and the crit chance went up. But they offset that a bit with Tornado Trigger being the final item by reducing the attack speed. Therefore, that increasing crit chance kind of equals out and increase the crit damage, making up for the loss of crit damage here. So I think ultimately it's actually more beneficial. I think ultimately this got a buff combined with this right here. Well, no. This got a nerf. I don't know. Fuck me, I don't know. Jesus. Talents, we don't give a shit. And that's it. So there we go. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Once again, doing another update video going over all the balance changes. I don't normally do this, but I actually enjoyed doing this, kind of discussing what all the changes might do in the meta. I'm always kind of intimidated to do that. Like, I'm not like the most in tune to the exact meta of what you need to buy and what is an absolute in the meta. I'm one of those players, like, I know the meta, you know, more or less, but I like to be able to deviate and do what the hell I want. If I want to experiment, let me experiment. And that's my logic. Like, I don't think that meta is necessarily an absolute. Meta revolves around the fact that pro players use this, pro players use that. Well, I mean, generally they're right, but there are times where they're not, you know? And then what will happen is that a pro player will put up a video. So like T-Tigers, not saying this is him, but T-Tigers might put up a video saying, this is what you need to do. This is the best build. And then, you know, everybody will do that and say, oh, this is the meta now, Rumbly. T-Tigers did this, DNZO did that. This is the meta. This is what you need to do. And then an analyst will come by and say, well, mathematically, it's actually technically better to use this than this. So they were, while maybe in their own play styles, they may be right, on the average player skill level, mathematically, this is the best route. And then meta will shift. And so I think that, you know, you shouldn't always adhere to the meta. You should always try to maybe adjust the meta in your own personal play style. Maybe keeping yourself loosely connected to the meta and kind of go with that. And so I decided, you know what? Let's talk about the update and how I perceive the meta will change. I'm probably completely wrong. But maybe I got some things right. And if I did, I will take credit for that and throw it in your face. But there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Once again, another update video for you guys for today, because there's a lot of news dropping. And if there's any more, you probably will expect another video, if not tonight or maybe tomorrow morning. So hopefully they cool down with all the information and wait for the next couple days, because I'm getting tired of editing these. It's a lot of videos to edit. But there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.